Have you ever tried to flip a negative thought into a positive one? Like I'm too stubborn to I'm persistent. It feels right and it feels better, right? But here's the catch. Sometimes that feel good shift doesn't actually move us forward. Why? Because we're still circling around the problem. So, in today's episode, we're going to talk about why reframing can feel good, but can still keep you stuck. And we're going to talk about it through our solution focused approach, which is what we talk about every week here on this podcast. So, if you want to hear more about how to use our approach, hit like and subscribe. And it helps with the algorithm so everyone else can learn more about this as well. So, Dr. Teplow, why is reframing so popular?
I think it's popular because it's easy and it seems to make sense. If you think, I just am fat because I'm lazy, and you reframe and say, well, I'm not lazy. I just haven't found good exercise yet. Or I don't know, you can think of a million ways to reframe. Nobody likes me. Well, not really. It's just that Susie didn't invite me to her party. Reframing is deliberately changing your interpretation of a thought or
Okay.
belief or whatever. Yeah. And it seems like, wow, it should work. So instead of telling myself I'm just lazy, I just say, yeah, I haven't found the right exercise yet. That gives me hope.
And it does work. It does give you a temporary relief of that negative thought that you're having in there, and it does shift a bit of a perspective, and you do move yourself out of that negative thought loop that you're going in there. But at the same time, it also can keep us stuck.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's because it's imposed without really a reference point to your lived experience. If all you've done is be a couch potato or, um, or lost your temper, I'm not an angry person. I'm just an angry person. Oh no, I'm not an angry person. It doesn't replace it with anything associated with your lived experience, with what's reality.
And so it kind of feels art. It can feel artificial,
Absolutely, yeah. I'm sorry. It can feel very artificial. And also,
and you don't believe it at an intrinsic level because you kind of like made an excuse for your bad behavior or your lack of willpower or whatever the thing is that you don't that isn't constructive for you. And even if you say it to somebody else, that they kind of there's a kind of an eye roll too. I'm like, that sounds like a cop out to
yeah,
do that.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
And the other thing with reframing is that it's usually some expert, telling you how to reframe. You don't own it. So it's not part of you, the way you talk to yourself, your identity. It doesn't come from, again, from your lived experience. And it's also a correction. So you say, oh, I'm not really a this. I should think like this. I'm thinking negatively. I need to think, I need to reframe. So I'm thinking positively. And then we don't control our minds. As one of the people that we work with says, the brain does what the brain does. We
yeah.
can't control it. So when then the brain comes with the original, negative thought or distorted thinking, then we beat ourselves up. And
Mm.
now we not only have the negative thinking, but we feel guilty about it because we know what we should have been using.
Right. We are feeling like, well, yeah, you're lying to yourself. Is that creates a whole nother internal conversation that you're going to have to pull yourself out of because, oh, okay, yeah, it might have made you feel good just like right when you said it to yourself. But then that thought, like you said, that thought comes back. And this time comes back even more fierce because you say,
Right. Right. And then, what we pay attention to grows. So that negative thinking that's there, it will grow or it can grow. And we look for, we have our confirmation bias. Yeah, I could have, taken this stuff. Yeah, I could have taken the stairs instead of the elevator, but I didn't. So, it just shows I'm a lazy bum.
right. And also the other thing it does is too when you do it, you have to inherently say the problem in that same sentence. It's like, I'm not stubborn. I'm getting things done right. But you still have to keep saying that first part over and over again. That reference point, which is the problem.
Well, and presumably you get better at it. So you might, you could make a tiny habit out of it.
Right.
After I notice myself doing this, I'll do that.
Right.
But the bottom line question, I think there's one that is crucial, and that is, what difference does it make? And if no matter what we think, what difference does it make in our lives? And we live, we're not just our thoughts, we are our behaviors too.
Right.
So does it change your behavior?
Right. Yeah, and you can just if you just keep reframing, you could be in a loop of just reframing everything and not actually moving to where you want to go. And you have to I know where you want to go.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's the other thing, is that reframing your negative or distorted or unhelpful thoughts doesn't necessarily, it doesn't define where you want to go. It's more positive, but more positive to what end?
Hmm. And
So
that's what difference will it make?
yeah. And what are you going to do differently?
Yeah.
And what do you want to do to, what is the thinking? What is the more positive thinking going to support in terms of behavior?
It's really in the behavior, the doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we can think and feel all sorts of things, but
Right.
ultimately it comes out in behavior.
Right, right. So if you still are acting stubborn or angry or any of the things is something that you want to change, you're still going to be doing those. That's the behavior you're still doing, even though you can
Right.
look at
And
it
I can, yeah.
different.
And
You
I
can look
can
at it
tell
a million
myself,
different ways and justify it a million different ways, reframe it in a million different ways, but the
yeah,
behavior is still the behavior.
right. And so if I tell myself angry, I'm patient and kind. Okay. I can tell myself that a billion times. What difference is doing that going to make? What is going to be different about how I'm acting and behaving?
Yeah. So what's the alternative then to reframing?
So I think that first of all is to really focus on who, and usually our negative self-talk that requires reframing is about who we are and what we do. It's not about whether I like chocolate ice cream or strawberry ice cream better. It's about our identity. The negative is that identity, what we're telling ourselves, it conflicts with our values. I want to be healthy, but I'm a lazy bum and I haven't lifted a finger to do exercise in 6 years or whatever. So what you first thing is to do to really detail, with rich description, what do you want to be doing and who do you want to be? So
Right.
instead of angry, what do you want to be? And what will that look like? How will you
Yeah.
know? What will others notice around you?
And be very detailed about what that would look like. And
Absolutely.
sometimes with our clients, that question is difficult, and that's why what you said there is, what would other people notice about you? It gives you that third person perspective, and I like the what you talked about before is what would your pet notice that if you weren't stubborn or angry, what did they notice? So it gives you that again that third party perspective to help really crystallize what this will look like.
Yeah, and that third party, even your pet, for people who are really connected to their pets, that's a powerful shift. We noticed that. We heard that from somebody we were working with a couple of weeks ago, who was experiencing a shift, like from more, I guess, tense to more relaxed and happier. And she was describing how she has some cats at home, and one of them just is not a friendly cat. That is not, it's not a lap cat. It's not a cat that rubs itself against you and then, you stroke it and it's all happy and turns over and wants belly rub and all that stuff. No, no, that cat is a don't touch me. I'm I'm the king around here. Just feed me and let me snooze in the sun or whatever. And she said she noticed, I think it brought it to her attention. She was feeling happier. It wasn't quite to her consciousness, like, wow, I'm really feeling happier these days. But she said cats were much more affectionate. And even this cat was coming up and rubbing himself against her leg and wanting to be petted. And it was
Yeah.
remarkable.
Yeah, and that awareness wasn't, there wasn't one-to-one awareness right there that, oh, that's the reason, but that was the outcome. And so, yeah, even if when you're picturing this, if you can picture your cat rubbing up against you, that's would be something that you would notice would be different. So, all right, so we know where we're going to want to go and what that will look. We're describing in full detail what that would look like. Um, then
Yeah.
what else? Yeah,
I think that's important to notice, that it's not only what would be different, but what would you be doing differently?
yeah,
It's
again, the
a
doing.
connection. I think that's really important because it's not superficial. And it's not about convincing yourself. It's seeing yourself taking valued action so that it's real, it's doable. You see yourself doing it. So you can have whatever self-talk you want, but when you're able to describe what you're doing in that better future as the healthy person or the patient boss or whatever, you're describing it. You're walking through in fine detail. You're describing, and what will other people notice that tells them that you're that different person? Then it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, you're moving from reinterpreting what you're thinking or saying about yourself to actually moving into direction or stepping into that future.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And your self-talk in a certain way, you don't really have to concern yourself with it as much because you have a picture of the destination you want to go, the person you'll be, and you can say, and what will I be saying to myself? So in that better future, when I'm more patient or more fit or whatever,
Mm.
detail. And what's the first thing? And that, that I'll say to myself when I wake up in the morning, when I have that sense of patience or, energy for fitness. Well, I say to myself, you can ask yourself what will be different. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I never thought of that. That's really powerful to not even just not only envision what you would be physically doing, but also what you would be saying to yourself. That's really powerful to describe. And like you said, the self-talk will be self-talk. The brain does what the brain does, as we said earlier, and then you know where you're going. You know what the destination is. So these thoughts can come and go. This I'm stubborn, I'm angry thought can come and go, but because you know your destination you're going to go to.
Right.
All right,
Exactly.
what's one thing I could be doing right now that continues to move me forward there? Yeah, I was explaining that recently and talking about habits and routines and which are useful and valuable. At the same time, so many things can knock you off your routine because life happens. So it's about what can I be doing right now that's even if I wasn't able to do my routine that still says I'm moving towards that person that I am envisioning.
Yeah. I think the metaphor of the sky is really, really powerful here is that the sky is always there. There may be clouds, there may be rain, there may be thunder, lightning, whatever, but the sky is the sky. It doesn't change. And that's you. That's about your identity and what you really care about, what's important to you, who you want to be seen as. And whatever is flitting through your mind at the moment, it's just flitting through the mind. It's like the cloud passing by.
Yeah, that's a great metaphor to think about. The clouds, the rain, or whatever is happening is just temporary, but the sky is you, your values, where you want to go, what you stand for, and that's a great way to think about all the things that are happening in your head or that come up.
Yeah. And it can be hard. You can say, oh, I just keep having this thought, have this happen, and you just control. Okay. And even in the presence of this thought, if I were, doing what I do to be fit, or if I were in that meeting, no matter what thought was going on in my head, I still was able to act patient. People saw me as patient. What would they see me doing? I'd
Yeah,
be breathing calmly and my shoulders would be down away from my ears.
I have an interesting question around reframing in the way of naming something. So last night in our group coaching call for our core health group coaching membership, link in the bottom in the blue, little ad there. We had someone bring up the fact that they called this moment raging panda. They have a raging panda. When that raging panda comes up, they recognize it. They call it raging panda. It obviously makes a smile and they take themselves out for a timeout to till that thought clears and they can think more clearly. They can get into an action. So that naming is similar to reframing, but different. I wonder if you could talk a little bit the value of what when you name something like a procrastination pickle we've used in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great question. Is naming your problem the same as reframing? Not at all. Not at all. And they're very different because reframing is changing the interpretation of the thought, the situation, the feeling, is I'm not feeling anxious. I'm feeling excited. That's a reframe. Whereas, and you're imposing it in a certain way, it's denying I don't want to say truth, but it's denying the meaning of the feeling, but when you rename, when you're naming, it's not reframing, but naming something, you're actually accepting that feeling. By naming it, it allows you, it provides, you're doing linguistic distancing. So instead of being enmeshed with, I am anxious, you're naming any anxiety. It's external from you. So your identity is not fused with the negative or the unwanted feeling. It's now externalized. It's easier to work with. Any anxiety can be there or not be there, but darn it, I'm going out and doing this speech just like I need to do.
Yeah.
Very
So
different from reframing.
gives you the space to ask, now what do I want to do instead of having anti-anxiety there, or the raging panda. We got a great laugh out of the raging panda. So in practical terms, this if you are stressed, the reframing example being, my stress means I care. But in a solution focused approach, we would say, okay, what's one thing I can do today that shows I care and helps me feel calmer, if that's what I want to be instead of stress, is calmer, and then just being in action about it.
Absolutely. And you can also remember that nobody's perfect. You don't even do your, raging panda or your anxious Annie perfectly, or your whatever it was. When are times in the past when you have acted in that way that you wanted, when that identity part of you was present? What was going on? What were you doing? Is that something you want to repeat now? Or and what does it say about who you are as a person, what you're capable of? So knowing I'm capable of that, I was capable of that then, I still have that capacity. What am I going to do now?
All right, that sounds like a perfect place for us to wrap up. If today's episode resonated with you, and if you're ready to move beyond just willpower and reframing and align your behavior change with your identity, that sky, we invite you to join us inside Stamina Lab, whether that's through our aforementioned core health group coaching membership or one of our 14-day health quests. We're here to help you become the person you're already on the path to being just by listening to this. Also, please hit like and subscribe. We talk about solution-focused strategies every week. We have some great assessments, and we'll put in the show notes here to assess your self-talk style and to check your perceived stress assessment. So check those out in the show notes. And if you want to learn more about our unique solution-focused approach and book a complimentary coaching session, visit staminalab.io. And leave your questions and comments below. We love to answer those. Thank you, Dr. Teplow. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Until next time, remember, you are your own lab, you are your own experiment, and you are your own best coach. Be well.